Welcome to the conversation. Joining me now is candidate for California's 25th district congressional seat, Cenk Uygur.
Welcome, Anna. Thank you.
I'm welcoming you.
That's right.
He's a guest on this show.
All right. So yes, indeed, I do have an announcement. I will be running for Congress in California's 25th district. I'm going to represent those people in a way that they have not seen before. I will not be a standard politician. I will fight for them. I'm gonna fight to get money out of politics, and I'm gonna call it like it is. You know what campaign donations are from big corporations and lobbyists? Bribes. They're bribes when Republicans take them. They're also bribes when Democrats take them. I'm not gonna take any of that, and I'm gonna fight to get you guys higher wages and to get you health care that your family needs. And my district at this point is literally on fire, okay? And we have got to fix all of this, and a standard politician ain't gonna do it. So here I come.
So Cenk, this was Representative Katie Hill's seat, and she was basically pushed out following nonsense scandals and a smear campaign by her soon-to-be ex-husband. What encouraged you to run for this district, which is a purple district?
Yeah, I love that it's a purple district. Purple district means a couple of different things. So first of all, it means that people are actually open to ideas and not necessarily just Republicans or Democrats. And I can tell it like it is, which I can't help myself anyway, that's all I ever do. And say, yeah, look guys, if you think that the Koch brothers are corrupting politics, you're absolutely right. If you think corporate America is corrupting politics, you're absolutely right. But you know what? We should also get George Soros's money out and Mike Bloomberg's money out. We should get all of the private money out. So Anna, everybody thinks, oh no, purple district, progressives can't win. No, I'm gonna crush them. Cenk2020.com, that's my website, Cenk2020.com, that's CENK2020.com. I obviously need all the volunteers I can get, and obviously since I don't take corporate PAC money or lobbyist money, I need all of you guys, and together we can do it. In terms of Katie Hill, I think what was done to her was a great injustice. We talked about it on this program actually, and I'm really worried that if you allow women to be targeted like that and put out those pictures, and then it becomes a quote unquote scandal, and then people say, including in the Democratic Party, it's a distraction, and so we've got to get rid of her. It only encourages that kind of behavior. So I think it's a bad idea and a bad precedent. But if they thought it was a good idea to get rid of Katie Hill, whether they were Republicans or maybe even Democratic leadership, I'm gonna make them regret the day that they ever did that. And so if you didn't like her, wait till you get a load of me. So I'm coming.
I want to get to your platform in just a second and what you plan on running on. And I mean, it's clear that you care a great deal about money in politics. But since we're having a conversation about Katie Hill, let's talk about who she's endorsed. She's actually endorsed a woman by the name of Christy Smith. And the argument here is step aside, boys, let a woman run. And so what is your response to that?
Look, I don't think that gender is the issue here. And so I don't think, I can't speak for Katie Hill. I hope she's not saying because you're a male, you shouldn't run at all. And I wouldn't want to put words in her mouth. She can speak for herself. And if she likes Christy Smith and she supports her and they've had a relationship before that, God bless. Okay, that's for her decision to make, not mine. For you guys, for the people actually in the district, okay, so one politician says you support another politician. By the way, I got news for you. Almost all the politicians are on her side, okay? So they all say, oh, she's gonna be a great establishment politician. She's gonna listen to orders. She's gonna go, and when Nancy Pelosi tells her not to vote for Medicare for all or Green New Deal or getting money out of politics, my guess is that's exactly what she'll do. When's the last time a standard politician ever did anything? Right? So every time she gets a Democratic endorsement from standard folks that, hey, look, you be the judge. Did those people ever do anything? So there's no way in the world I'm ever gonna speak for Katie Hill. And she's a strong woman and her own person, and she could believe any of those things. But if you wanna fight for women's rights, are you kidding me? So when they come for women in all of these different states, and they try to pass those laws against choice, I'm not gonna stand for it. Imagine me in Congress and they try to pass one of those bills about transvaginal ultrasounds. Hell no. I mean, in some of the states they proposed that after a woman is raped, that the state, big government, should then do a transvaginal ultrasound. Do you know what that means? Do you know how sick that is? So I don't know if I'm sure that all the Democrats are against that. By the way, most of the Republicans are for that. And if you want a real fighter, I'm gonna go kick Republicans' ass. I'm never gonna allow them to do that. So I will raise any kind of fury there is to fight for women's rights on every issue. So equal pay, choice. You know that in the case of choice, over 70% of Americans are pro-choice, but yet they pass all these insane, barbaric laws against women day in and day out. It's not that other Democrats don't care about that issue, they do, right? And I'm sure I'd be shocked if my opponent wasn't also good on that issue, wasn't on the right side of that issue, right? But what's the size of the fight in you? So are you just gonna say, oh, tisk tisk, oh, they shouldn't do that? Or are you gonna say, not on my watch? There's no way you're gonna do that. And if you're gonna do that, I'm gonna tell the whole country, these people hate women. These Republicans, they pass these laws because they hate the fact that you can control your own body and that you have sovereignty. Okay, sorry, we're all equal. That's the whole point of the country. And you will not take away women's rights on our watch.
So since you're talking about how you would be a fighter, I do want to bring up a topic that's very relevant in the 25th district today, which is gun control. So there was a high school shooting in Santa Clarita today that is part of the 25th district in California, which Cenk Uygur is running for. And Christy Smith had an interesting take on Twitter. But before we get to her take, I want to read your take and then compare. So Cenk had written, there's a shooting in Santa Clarita High School with at least 5 injured, 2 critically. Now at this point we know that 3 students have died. You continue to write, you know why? Guns, NRA, Mitch McConnell. That son of a bitch has taken $1.2 million in bribes from the NRA to make sure we have no gun control at all, and it's our kids who get shot. Now, there was a very different reaction from your opponent, again, Christy Smith. She wrote, quote, my thoughts and prayers are
there you go.
With our Saugus High School family. May God bless and keep you. And there were people who were not pleased with that response. In fact, one person wrote, sorry, Katie Hill, who has endorsed Christy Smith. This one is not going to cut it with this dribble, delete. And the response from Christy Smith was, this is my immediate response to my community who is suffering right now. Check my voting record on gun control, but now is not the time for this nonsense when lives are at stake. So Cenk, what is your response to that? Her argument, and it does go along with many conservatives, is that you shouldn't politicize a mass shooting.
So look, I have to confess I hadn't seen that reaction, and I should be thrilled because she's my opponent, and that's a terrible reaction, but I'm not at all thrilled of it. Because look, I'm gonna fight like hell, and I think I'm gonna win this race. But on the off chance that she wins, that means she isn't gonna do anything about it. I will interpret that for you because I've been doing political analysis for a long time. What that means is my district likes guns. I know the district. It's got a lot of cops, it's got a lot of veterans, and political advisors tell you don't say anything about guns in this district, and it's a purple district. So even as people are dying today, thoughts and prayers, that's it. Are you kidding? That's a Republican talking point. Thoughts and prayers means don't do anything. Don't do anything. And not today, right? So, and I'll tell you, I'll be honest with you, because I'm not just not a normal politician, I'm not a politician at all. Okay, so advise people with good intent said, hey, Cenk, you were set to go in the race today, but don't do it because it's not the right day. Today, people are grieving and it's thoughts and prayers. No. This is the day to fight more than any other day. So those poor kids, I got kids, man. And we went through a scare. And if you've ever been in any of those neighborhoods where you go through that scare, and you get that call, it's the worst call on the planet. And then you say to people on that day, don't fight today. No. Hey, cooler heads, okay, just calm down. And when no one is paying attention anymore, that's when you're supposed to fight? No, you get in the fight right now. I'll tell you why we don't have any action, why we have mass shootings, especially at our schools everywhere. The Republican Party and the NRA. So you would say, oh, that's uncomfortable. Well, it's a sad day for you. You know what's really uncomfortable? School shootings. So Mitch McConnell's taken $1.2 million in legalized bribes. That is campaign donations from the NRA. That is why he doesn't do anything. Federal background checks polls at 97%. What do you need, 98%? But Mitch McConnell says, yeah, but on the other hand, I get bribes. I get bribes from the NRA. So I don't mind your kids getting shot. You think that any standard politician, Christie or otherwise, is gonna go take on Mitch McConnell like I am? If I was in Congress today, you know the kind of speech I would have given on the House floor? Exactly like this. I would have said my cherished colleague, because God damn it, they care so much about their colleagues, right? I don't care about your colleagues. They say, oh, be civil, don't fight, be civil. Let the Republicans rule everything. Let the donors rule everything. I would say my cherished colleague in the Senate, Mitch McConnell, has taken $1.2 million in bribes. And that is why we cannot pass something that 97% of Americans care about, and the kids in our district just got shot over. If I'm a family member there, I'm outraged. This is the time to act. This is not the time to say, oh, you know what? Hey, just do generic feel-good things because it might hurt my political career in this district to say something negative about guns. Have some courage.
Now, Katie Hill managed to flip this district from Republican to Democrat, and she did so with a considerable amount of money that she had fundraised for her race in 2018. In fact, she had raised a whopping $8.5 million to defeat Republican Steve Knight for that congressional seat. As someone who is refusing to take big dollar donors or corporate PAC money or anything like that, how do you plan on defeating your opponents with your fundraising strategy?
All right, so a couple of things here, guys. Cenk2020.com. Right now, already campaign donations are coming in. It's all you guys, small dollar donations, okay? My campaign team just told me we just passed $10,000. I want to get to $200,000 in 48 hours. Again, good intention people said don't put out a number, okay? Because what if you don't get to 200,000? What if everything, guys? No, then don't get in the fight then. Just sit at home, okay? We're gonna get to $200,000, and then for the race, I need $1 million. If people believe in sending a fighter to Washington, then they'll make that happen. And it's up to you guys. If you don't want to do that, and you think, hey, I bet a milquetoast politician will do it. I bet somehow she'll rise up, and some point Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Steny Hoyer will do what? Single payer? We'll do Medicare for all? We'll do higher wages? They won't do any of that stuff, right? So let's go show them what we got. Am I gonna raise $8.4 million?
Obviously not.
No way, no way. But remember, AOC got outspent 20 to 1, and she won anyway. You don't need $8.5 million from corporate donors, whether you're Republican or Democrat, okay? What you need is fighters. If I got you, that's all I need, okay? And by you, I mean the progressive base and people who care. And not just donations, guys, Cenk2020.com, because I need volunteers. So I remember when Allison Artson was running against Dianne Feinstein, we tried to look up on her website where people could volunteer. It turns out Dianne Feinstein didn't want volunteers. She didn't even have a volunteer section, okay? So I don't know what my opponents in this race are doing. I don't know if they have any volunteers. I mean, maybe their donors will volunteer for them, okay? But for me, let's go, man. I'll meet you in the 25th district. So Simi Valley, Palmdale, Lancaster, Santa Clarita. Let's go, let's go. We're gonna do rallies there. Can't wait to do events at diners. You know me. Okay, Cenk2020.com. But it's not, again, not just donations. Give me volunteers, and we'll show them what we got. I mean, they're not gonna know what hit them. Everybody's expecting a standard race. Okay, okay, we have. And I don't want you to lose track of the Republicans in the race. They're monsters, okay?
Right, you have Mike Cernovich, who is saying he's gonna run.
I don't even want to talk about him. Radioactive, I don't care about him.
Right.
But you got a clown like Papadopoulos,
that's right,
okay,
yeah.
who's went to prison while working on the Trump campaign, committed crimes, lied, etc. But to be fair, he is a standard Republican politician, liar through and through, okay, and a criminal. And then you got the former incumbent who is radical right wing. Did you know that he's so right wing that other Republicans in Congress were embarrassed of him when he was in, okay? So the Republicans are way worse, and I'm their worst nightmare. You put me up against a Republican in a debate. What is that poor son of a bitch gonna do?
So let's talk a little bit about what you would actually try to accomplish for that district as a federal representative for them, right? So you've talked about gun control, you've talked about women's rights, but let's talk a little bit more about your economic philosophy.
Okay, so guys, we're gonna do a whole bunch of things here, because when you sent me, I'm not gonna be a bump on a log, okay? So a lot of congressmen are like, yes, I made it, I'm in power, I'm in the club. I don't care about their club. I couldn't care less, I don't even like their club. So what I wanna do is every day I wanna fight for you. So what are we gonna do? Number one, end the corruption. If you don't end the bribes, we're never gonna pass any of these bills. So what's our battle plan for passing the bills if you're a progressive? Keep asking Nancy Pelosi, pretty please. She just told you I don't care for Medicare for all. Guess what? I don't care for Nancy Pelosi. Are you allowed to say as a Democrat, I'm not a politician, I'm allowed to say whatever the hell I want. I gotta fight for you, so what am I gonna fight for? Higher wages. Why don't you have higher wages? So first of all, that son of a bitch, Mitch McConnell's blocking a $15 minimum wage bill. And give credit to Nancy Pelosi and the rest of the Democrats on this. They did pass it in the House, okay? Credit where credit is due. And Mitch McConnell said, there's no way I'll ever give higher wages to Americans. Well, then why don't you go break his kneecap politically? Every day you do a press conference or maybe a speech on the floor of the House. Oh, we got impeachment going on. Yeah, okay, we could chew gum and walk at the same time. Okay, I got impeachment at the same time. Vote, 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 vote. And if you don't vote, you know the trick that Mitch McConnell does? He turns to his folks back in Kentucky and he says, oh, no, I can't give you $15 minimum wage because then the jobs will go to Alabama or they'll go to Michigan. But if we had a national $15 minimum wage, they wouldn't go there, would they? And that's why Mitch McConnell blocks it. So why don't you fight him? Why don't you say every single day there is one guy responsible for lower wages in America that serves corporate interests and blocks higher wages for the American worker? Mitch McConnell. But it's not just minimum wage, guys. For public corporations, unfortunately, the way that they view it is, for every dollar that I give to my employees, that's a dollar less that I make in profit, that I can give to shareholders, that I can give to corporate executives, etc. So they keep your wages down. Now, they couldn't succeed in a democracy, in a functioning democracy, so what did they do? They bought off all your politicians. So, oh, here a little corporate money, and then they'll ask progressives, and progressives are too polite. They'll say, oh, do you think that corrupts them? It actually affects their vote? Yes, it definitely affects their vote. That's why they keep your wages low. Look, I'm gonna fight with every ounce of breath I have for the workers of California 25. It's a working class district. I'm gonna get your wages up. You want somebody who's gonna sit there and not do anything, or you want someone who's a fighter for you? And then healthcare. Do you know in this brutal system that we have, that if you have a kid who gets cancer, now if he breaks his arm, you can take him to the emergency room and you'll be bankrupt. It'll totally destroy your family, okay? But at least he'll get a cast and he'll be okay. But if he has cancer and you don't have insurance, we let him die. That's insane. That's insane. So standard consultants tell you, oh, it's a purple district, don't say Medicare for all. Medicare for all. We're gonna do Medicare for all. We're not gonna let any kids die. We don't let them die in a fire. We have a fire department that's public. We have a police department that's public. If somebody's coming to mug you, we send the police. On healthcare, if your kids gets cancer, you're in the 25th district, I'm not going to let them die. And then how about Green New Deal?
Before you get to Green New Deal, I do want to talk a little bit more about Medicare for all, because while the argument is that it's a purple district that would probably be a little resistant to a progressive proposal like Medicare for all, when Katie Hill was running in that district, she did highlight her expansion of Medicare in the state of California as part of her platform. So, what is interesting is that it appears that this economic populist message resonates even in a purple district like California 25.
Well, that's why I respect Katie Hill on that. And so they have this insane idea that, no, if you're actually trying to represent the people and you're populist in your district, you won't win in a purple district, because purple district loves corporations. Really? Does anybody in California 25 love corporations, love big business? No, it's an excuse to take donor money, okay? So if I win that seat, it'll be an earthquake, because Washington thinks, oh, that guy's a radical progressive. There's no way he could win in a purple district. So let me ask the entire Washington media, if I win in that district, are you gonna shut up? Are you going to keep putting out that mythology that Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Chuck Schumer want you to put out? That, oh, no, we got to take all the donor money and we got to be corporate and we got to be conservative in those purple districts. If I win in that district, that argument is instantly eliminated, does not exist anymore. It proves that it is a lie. Cenk2020.com. By the way, just got a note, we already have over 100 volunteers signed up. They're not gonna know what hit them because there aren't very many politicians in this country that actually care to serve the people. So the people are gonna show up. They're already showing up. How the hell are they gonna get 100 volunteers? Go corporate America. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, whether you're Republican or Democrat.
So you can continue talking about what you would do about the climate.
Yes, Green New Deal. Look, guys, again, purple district, don't say Green New Deal, don't say Green New Deal. Okay, I just said it. Okay, what does Green New Deal do? First of all, it creates a new electric grid in this country. You know what that does? It creates millions of new jobs and jobs with good wages. And it creates a power system that isn't the horrific system that we have now in California, where the public utilities or private utilities keep having their power lines go down and other things go wrong. They shut off your power and then they have the fires anyway. My district is literally on fire, literally, okay? And so they tell me, oh, no, you should have a civil debate with the Republicans about whether climate change exists or not. No, if you don't believe climate change exists, you're a lunatic and you should be locked up in an asylum. I'm not having a debate with someone who's in an insane asylum. So it's real. But guys, it's a win-win. When you do a Green New Deal and you fight to get rid of climate change, to combat climate change, not only are you doing something that actually saves the planet, have you not noticed we have over 400 months of record heat, month after month after month? How much evidence do you need? But on top of that, you create jobs and you have a new energy system in this country that doesn't betray us. No district needs it more than California 25. And do you get the sense that maybe I might fight for that? And do you get the sense that any standard politician would actually do that? They're gonna sit there and Republican or Democrat, they're not gonna do anything. All their advisors are gonna tell them, no. By the way, my Democratic opponent, she has said absolutely nothing about Medicare for all or Green New Deal, consultant. I'm positive of it. If she comes out now, having never said anything about any of those progressive issues, and all of a sudden says Medicare for all, you know why? Because of me. So I said it. Well, why didn't you say it before? Why didn't you have the courage to say it before? Oh, you hide. And this is what happens every time. It happens with even progressive challengers that are, don't have the volunteers that I'll have, etc. Right? What do? As soon as they have a progressive challenger, Joe Crowley did it. When AOC challenged him, guy never cared about Medicare for all, never talked about it. All of a sudden he's like, oh yeah, I'm a co-sponsor of Medicare for all. Yes, I vote Medicare for all. All right, so let's see what the Democrat does. The Republicans, of course, are monsters. They won't agree to any of this.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the Democratic Party overall, because the Democratic establishment certainly did help in terms of fundraising for Katie Hill. And Katie Hill was reported to have a pretty close relationship with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Now, we know that Speaker Pelosi did push her out of the House, forced her to resign following the allegations that she had an improper relationship with someone in her staff. She's denied that. But nonetheless, you're gonna fight Republicans, that's a given. But in reality, you are going to fight the Democratic establishment pretty aggressively. So let's say best case scenario for you, you actually defeat them and you get elected. How exactly do you plan to accomplish these lofty goals with the entire establishment working against you?
That's a great question. First of all, Cenk2020.com, we're raising over $1,000 per minute, okay? We're coming, okay? So keep it going with that and volunteers. Sorry, Anna, to answer your question, and it's a great question. So there's two theories of change. One is I'll call as pretty please. Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and all the Democratic leadership take tons of money from the drug industry and from the healthcare industry, and they turn around and say, we'll never do Medicare for all. I have a poster of single payer buried in my basement, okay? And so if you ask her pretty please enough times, she'll change her mind. I think that theory is preposterous. Unfortunately, it's held by most of Congress, okay? Now, everyone knows she's not gonna do that. Everyone knows it, but they've submitted, okay? Now, the other theory is you break them. Now, oh my God, you can't say that. That's not civil. No, that's politics, brother. Okay, so
what does that mean?
So this is what it means. Thank you for asking. So, guys, when a politician says, hey, you know what, I'm not gonna vote for your priority. Lyndon Johnson did this, FDR did this, Lincoln did this, everybody does this if they actually wanna get things passed. You vote against me, that's fine, no problem, but it's the last vote you'll ever have, okay? So Republicans have a lot of enforcers, Democrats have almost no enforcers. So at first I thought, maybe we'll have a president that saves us, and we got a couple of presidential candidates that are wonderful and that have a real shot, and I think Bernie Sanders is the best of them, I've been clear about that. But I'm not waiting for a savior anymore. I waited and waited and waited and realized ain't nobody gonna do it. So I raised my hand. I'm raising my hand right now. I'm gonna do it. So they'll say, oh, that's outrageous. Who the hell do you think you are? Well, I'm the guy who's gonna make a list, okay? So nobody else is gonna make a list, I'm gonna make a list. They thought, oh, no, these just Democrats, when they first come in, oh, they're gonna make a list and it's outrageous. But they weren't planning to do that.
They accused AOC of creating a list.
But they didn't do that, and they weren't planning to do that. So, but I am. So, and we're gonna run populist progressives all over the country, and I'm gonna help them. And what they will do is they will squeal, and they'll say, oh my God, your beloved, cherished colleagues. Wait, how is a person voting against every one of my interests my colleague? How is a person voting against every policy priority we have as progressives my ally or my teammate? Not interested. I'm gonna make a list and we're gonna check those. Now, look, if I don't win, they get to laugh at this. So it's a giant risk I'm taking, right? And they'll say, oh yeah, this guy, haha, leftist, thought he could win in a purple district, and it turns out he couldn't. Everybody go back home, go back to sleep, go back to sleep. We don't have to do anything, right? Or you show them that I can win, that we can all win. Then I go help every other candidate. I go help all those progressives. And next time there's somebody, so here I'll give you an example. Look, I'll talk about a totally different race. So, and you guys should care about this race, and it's a good example. John Hickenlooper entered the race in Colorado and instantly got a huge lead. Chuck Schumer said it's got to be John Hickenlooper in Denver on the Democratic primary side. And every media figure is like, oh yeah, Hickenlooper. Romanoff had the lead. He was a former Speaker of the House. He's a progressive. So now the first poll out shows that Romanoff is down 51 points. But Romanoff's for Medicare for all, he's for Green New Deal, he just hasn't had a chance. The media won't cover him because a lot of times, unfortunately, they're craven in their
desire for access? Possibly?
Yes, if for example, we had enough power that we can get Romanoff to beat Hickenlooper, then we can go to any Democrat in the Senate and go, oh no, you vote against Green New Deal all you like. You just need a 52-point lead, okay? Now they say, oh, AOC won in a really blue district. But what if we win in purple districts? What if we win in red districts? But you can make that happen. I'm not kidding. Look, in this case, I gotta keep telling you about my website, cenk2020.com, that's CENK2020.com. And so you can make that happen by volunteering, by donating. If we win this race, it's an earthquake. I mean, imagine all those guys, they're gonna hate me. And I welcome it. So I'm not going there to make friends. I'm going there to fight for the people in the 25th district.
So you do have quite a bit of enemies, and I think it is important to address some of the claims that are going to be made against you throughout this race.
Yes.
Right. So look, I want to be clear that I have full editorial control on this program now. There's obviously a conflict of interest if Jake had any editorial control, and he does not. So I'm gonna go ahead and ask you a question that's probably gonna make you incredibly uncomfortable. You have a past of denying the Armenian Genocide, and that is gonna come up during this race.
Yeah. And
so I think it's important for you to discuss the Armenian Genocide, both your past position on it and where you stand today.
Yeah, okay, fair. So first of all, the Armenian Genocide happened. And if you have read online that when I was a kid in college and even a little bit later than that, when I was a young guy, that I denied it, that is true, okay? And the reason is I grew up with only the Turkish side of the story. So I read all these accounts, and back then I didn't have the context of of having done this show, having learned, having grown up, having matured. So I remember reading this one thing of an American colonel who said that the Armenians had returned to Turkey entirely fat and unmassacred. And I remember writing that in an editorial or something like that. Looking back on it, that is so embarrassing. How childish. That guy obviously wanted some sort of contract or wanted some sort of deal. Nobody returned. Look at Turkey. There's still some Armenians in Turkey. When I grew up in Turkey, I was 8 years old. We had Armenian friends, but there used to be a lot of Armenians, certainly in Eastern Turkey and yes, in Western Turkey as well. They're not there. They didn't return. They didn't return fat and unmassacred. That's preposterous. Now, as an adult, when I read that, I go, oh, obviously that guy has some interest that he's trying to protect. So, and to look, Turks get, both sides get super mad about this, and it's because it touches their core identity. And so Turks say, no, I never want to say, guys, almost everybody admits there's massacres. But Srebrenica, 8,000 people died, and they were targeted in that case because they were Muslims. The UN calls that a genocide. If that's a genocide, what happened to the Armenians is clearly a genocide. Then Turks will get touchy and they'll say, oh yeah, what happened to the Native Americans? That's a genocide. Well, you're right, it is.
It was.
So why don't you just say it? Why don't you admit that it was an Armenian genocide? And yes, it was a Native American genocide. There's nothing wrong with that. So if you read out there anywhere that I still deny it, that is nothing but a lie.
So one of the other things that's likely to come up are the blogs that you wrote years ago, and those blogs came up a few years ago. Some of the conservative writers out there revealed them, and you were forced to apologize about them. So can you talk about what was in those old blogs and why you apologized?
Okay, so the blogs were bad, and it was when I was a politically incorrect Republican. And so if you want, I can get into my whole history of why I grew up a liberal Republican in New Jersey and then eventually became a progressive. The short answer is I believe in facts, and the more facts that came in, the more I realized the Republicans were full of crap. But back then, I'm trying to prove how politically incorrect I am. So I wrote a lot of silly things, wrong things, outrageous things, but also, by the way, I will say that some of them, the ones that are most often quoted, were jokes about myself, where I was obviously making fun of myself. So, like I said, something about women having poor G's because they won't sleep with me. That's obviously a joke about me, right? So, having said that, should I have made that joke? No. But what I'm amused by, yeah, I'll say it, is that when Republicans, so if you're a Democrat and you're a progressive and you're bothered by those old words, you're 100% right? But Republicans who revel in so-called political incorrectness, now pretending that that younger Republican idiot, that's me, okay, back then, did something that offends them. You're not offended. You weren't offended back then. You're not offended now. You're trying to use it as a political tool. And by the way, if you're saying, hey, you should vote for a Republican in that race instead of Cenk, because back then he was a Republican idiot. Well, what does that make you voting for a Republican idiot today? At least I learned. And by the way, I'm sure now Oppo research is going crazy trying to find, did he say the wrong word here? Did he say the wrong word there? Okay, but overall in the work that I have done, can anyone who's actually watched it doubt that I'm a progressive fighter? So whether it's climate change or any of these, look, I remember having a debate with Mario Cuomo where I was on the wrong side of it. Okay, at that point, we'd already started the Young Turks. I've become progressive, but I still have some of my old views left, right? I'm pro-death penalty at that point. We debated for an hour, okay? I thought I held my own because I got an ego, right? But you know what happened after the debate? The Innocence Project showed that it was, I think, about 51 people on death row. Turns out they didn't do it. Now, it's one thing you want to kill people who you think murdered others, and you believe in retribution. And maybe I wasn't a good guy for believing that, but it's another thing when you want to kill people who didn't do it. So if you're not open to those facts, you're never going to grow and you're never going to change. I hope to God that I have grown and changed, and I hope that people can be open-minded about that. If they're not, okay, it is what it is. If you think there's never any redemption and 18 years of doing the right thing isn't enough, well then I'm probably not your guy.
So let's talk a little bit about your political experience, because you founded the Young Turks, but you've been politically active aside from the media career. And so discuss that a little bit, because I'm sure that there will be some critics who will argue, well, who is this guy? Like, why would I vote for this guy who didn't work himself up the ranks in local politics? So Christy Smith is actually a California Assembly member. And the argument is, hey, I got experience. I know what it's like to govern in the state of California. What is your response to that?
A great deep amusement. So first of all, I've been getting, who the hell do you think you are my whole life? I got an answer for you. I'm nobody. I grew up with a name like Cenk Uygur, Cenk with a C, nobody can pronounce it. I got the gobble gobble jokes my whole life growing up as a Turkish kid. Oh, you're from Turkey. And my dad, it's lived the American dream. He's an absolute hero. To the point where you're almost gonna have trouble believing. Came into the country with literally only $1 in his pocket and knew only one person, his older brother that was already here. And he built himself up. And everything I have is because of my dad and my mom. But we didn't have any names, we didn't know anybody, we didn't have any connections. So am I a nobody? Yes. But a lot of us are nobodies. And I believe in nobodies. I believe in outsiders. That's why we do the Young Turks, to represent you guys, to represent the outsiders. So if Christy or anybody else wants to say, oh, I'm a somebody because I'm an assemblywoman and you're a nobody. And a lot of politicians do think that and they will say that. Okay, there's a lot of nobodies out here. There's a lot of us. But then not only that, I did the same thing as I'm doing in this race with Wolf PAC. Back in 2011 at Occupy Wall Street, I kept doing the show. Everything comes back to money in politics, and everybody in the media won't say it. It's the bribes. It's the bribes. You think ExxonMobil gives money to a politician for charity or for their health? Come on, nobody believes that. So why won't you say it? So I said, all right, I'm gonna raise my hand. Then I'm gonna start Wolf PAC. And it's to get money out of politics. Here, I'll do a plug for them, wolf-pac.com, okay? Go join them now, wherever you are. And we want to get an amendment because it's an actual fix. They say, oh, that's hard. Oh, boo-hoo, it's hard. Well, what's your plan? I remember talking to another so-called progressive group. And they said, oh, we're gonna wait for demographic changes. Jesus Christ, that means you're gonna sit around for 20, 30 years and do nothing.
What does that
That's
mean?
your plan? Demographic changes? Another group told me, oh, we're gonna wait to win the Supreme Court. How's that working out for you? Yeah, we do the things that are hard and we volunteer for them.
So talk to me about what the strategy is for Wolf PAC, because it's one thing to say, I'm gonna accomplish these incredibly lofty and ambitious goals. It's an entirely different thing to actually accomplish them and to have a strategy put in place. So I want you to talk about the strategy of Wolf PAC, and then later we'll touch on Justice Democrats.
Yeah, so Wolf PAC's strategy is we're gonna get an amendment come hell or high water. And by the way, you wanna talk about purple district, it's totally nonpartisan. So, and some Democrats complain about that. Oh, you guys are willing to work with Republicans. How the hell are you gonna get an amendment passed if you can't work with the Republicans? Am I gonna work with national Republicans who are corrupt like Mitch McConnell? No, he's the heart of darkness, he's the heart of corruption. I got no interest in that. But if you're a local state Republican and you wanna get money out of politics, great, come on board. You know who else does? 93% of Americans, actually more than that, but 93% of Americans say that the politicians serve their donors and not their voters, okay? And they are absolutely right. So our idea is, since the entire country's on our side, let's give it a shot. So there's two ways to get an amendment in the Constitution. One is to ask 2/3 of Congress. Well, first of all, this Congress is so corrupt, there's no prayer of that happening. If you send me in, we got a little bit better chance, okay? And not just because of me, but because of the tactics, and now we got a cavalry on top of cavalry for progressives. Okay, but I'm not gonna wait on Congress, I'm not gonna wait on demographic changes. We gotta go get a convention. Convention is a second path, states can call for it. And when I said that, they said, oh, absolutely impossible. There's no way you're gonna get any states to call for a convention. We already have 5, including the state of California. Those volunteers for Wolf PAC and the staff, they get paid so little. They are absolutely American heroes, and the volunteers get nothing. There's guys who work at IHOP in West Virginia that are our state leaders. There's mechanics, there's construction guys. So these are real Americans. There's over 40,000 of them, and they're all over the country, and they say, we believe. We believe. If you believe, we can do anything, okay? So we passed in 5 states when they thought nobody could. I'll tell you one last quick thing about them because I'm so proud of them. They're the best of the best. So in New Jersey, there was a committee hearing. The Koch brothers sent one of their representatives to argue to keep money in politics. They're like, oh, I do declare, I believe that the billionaires should have freedom of speech, and freedom of speech means I give you $1 million, you vote the way that I want, right? We sent in 200 young people, and the representatives there said, I've never seen anything like this. We crushed the Koch brothers. I remember in the state of Washington, there was a committee hearing. Look, it's super difficult. We didn't wind up passing in the state of Washington yet, but we will. But in that committee hearing, we were gonna lose 4-3. We showed up against 250 people. Again, never seen anything like that. Guys, all right, I'm gonna get to an important point about Congress in a second, but one of the representatives, who's a good guy, but he got misled on the idea of the convention. When he saw those people, he switched his vote and he said, I bow to the will of the people. That's what we're gonna do in California 25. We're gonna make them bow to the will of the people. So now, you know what I'm gonna ask you to do if I'm in Congress? I'm gonna ask you to join me. Why aren't we in Congress all the time? I know, they think you're riffraff. Oh, you don't want the public around. Oh my God, when AOC did that thing where they had people protesting in Nancy Pelosi's house, the club was very displeased. Wait till they get a load of me. I'm gonna invite you all in. Let's surround the building. Cenk2020.com, I'm not playing. CENK2020.com, give me volunteers and give me small dollar donations as much as you can, brothers, okay? Let's go win that seat and let's show them what we got.
So now let's talk about Justice Democrats, because that is one of the other movements that you helped to, you founded it along with Kyle Kulinski and others, and you push for progressives to primary Democratic incumbents who are maybe weak, maybe part of the establishment. And so that has been a very controversial effort. And understandably, the establishment has fought back against it pretty aggressively. Nancy Pelosi has fought back against freshman Democrats pretty aggressively. And so first, talk a little bit about what motivated you to be part of that movement and to push for people to primary incumbent Democrats. And then secondly, how do you propose to actually get things done when the Democratic establishment is gonna fight you so aggressively in Congress?
Yeah. So I want to give you a lot of context for that. First of all, the other two co-founders of Just Democrats were Shoykat Chakrabarti, who eventually ran AOC's campaign and then was her chief of staff. He's brilliant and was probably the most pivotal player, but there's so many great people that worked there, made all the difference. Zach Hexley was another great founder, and Alexandra Rojas, absolutely brilliant. She was the field director, now she's the executive director, a young woman that has accomplished so much in such a short period of time. Waleed Shahid, who's their communications director now, Corbin Trent, these are all heroes. I remember asking reporters in Washington, good guys, smart guys, cover politics a long time. I said, we started this group called Just Democrats. I told them who was involved. I said, how many seats do you think we're gonna win? Everyone universally said, about one, you'll probably get lucky somewhere, right? 7, okay, there's 7 Justice Democrats right now. And that was just the beginning, that's the tip of the spear, okay? And I want to give credit, by the way, to Ro Khanna, who was the first person to come on this show and say, I'll be your champion. He was the first Justice Democrat ever, and he did that when he was an incumbent. You know what kind of risk that takes, or you know what that kind of courage that takes? By the way, I'm super proud. My first endorsement is from Ro Khanna. So absolute hero, and there are heroes in Congress. You know what? Just Democrats started the idea of no corporate PAC money. When we started, there was only 6 people in all of Congress that said they wouldn't take corporate PAC money. You know how many there are now? 60, okay? You know how you get change? You fight for it. And so you asked me how we're gonna get change in Washington when they're not gonna vote with me in the beginning. I'm not naive. Look, if I was naive, we wouldn't have started these successful groups. We wouldn't have had the success that we've had.
Let's be clear, they're not just gonna avoid voting with you. They're gonna fight you.
Oh, come and see, get some, okay? I'm not in danger, I am the danger, okay, to this system, to this corrupt system. Okay, all of us, and the last thing on my website, cenk2020.com, last thing on my website is, quote you like, and I said, we are the ones who knock. We'll do door knocking, etc. So, look, what are they gonna do to me? What they normally do with standard politicians is you will not get the committee that you like. Ooh, okay. Oh yeah, we were gonna do pork barrel politics, and now we won't do it. Like they do all these things. I remember my sister, who I love dearly, back when we were growing up though, she used to play that trick on me all the time. Oh, I was gonna give you this chocolate bar, but you said something mean, so I'm not. I learned after a while, they're not gonna give you the chocolate bar. Okay, that's just not gonna happen, right? So I'm not interested in appeasing them. I'm not interested in that. So then, yes, in the beginning, will our side lose votes? Of course, right? But we're gonna build and we're gonna build. So Pretty Please is a guaranteed failure. But if you say, hey, we're gonna vote and we're gonna show who's on the record. Oh, you voted against Medicare for All. Why do you think, by the way, why do you think they're not voting on Medicare for All? Do you know that they have no plan to vote on Medicare for All? So that you handed the House to the Democrats, what have they done? Do you know right now that the only thing they're voting on is whether we can negotiate drug prices on 25 to 35 drugs? Now the progressive position is, why don't we do all of the drugs? Why would the government purposely tie their hands and only negotiate prices on 25 or 35 drugs? Oh, no, we don't want to do that. Why don't you want to do that? They don't want to say, you know why? Because they take drug company money. Pelosi takes it, the corporate Democrats take it, the new Democrats take it, the blue dogs take it. They take the corporate money that are called bribes. The drug companies bribe them so that we can negotiate around the edges of 25 or 35, and that's the only vote. What else? They're not voting on infrastructure. Do you know that they have a plan to do absolutely nothing for the rest of this term? If I was in there, do you think I'm gonna let them get away with that? Now you say, well, Cenk, you can't single-handedly do it. Of course that's true, right? It's not about an ego. No, but you call it out. You do speeches, you go on TV, and you say, hey, you know what? You know why we're not voting on all drug prices? Because Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and all these guys take money from the drug companies. That's why we're not doing it. Those are your allies. They're not my allies. I want to negotiate all drug prices so you have lower drugs. They want higher prices on drugs. Why? Because they take bribes. So look, this is gonna be a race like no one's ever seen. Have you ever seen Democratic politicians say other Democrats take bribes? Have you ever seen them say Republicans take bribes? Almost never. Why do they never say that? Why do they never fight the Republicans? Because, oh, it would hurt the feelings of their goddamn colleagues. Well, because they also take bribes. I don't care about their feelings. So what'll happen is they'll get embarrassed, and then they'll get more embarrassed, and we'll start a national conversation, okay? Once we start that national conversation, they have no chance. What are they gonna say? Oh yeah, Pfizer gave it to me for charity. ExxonMobil, Lockheed Martin, they gave me money for charity. They felt charitable. No, they give it to you as an investment to buy you off. The first time they gave you it was a test. The second time they gave you the money, they realized, ooh, we got a return on investment. This politician is perfectly corrupt. If we keep on giving them money, we keep on getting everything that we want. That's crony capitalism. If no Democrat calls it out, then we're never gonna fix the problem. So I'm gonna call it out. That's step one. And then you say, okay, now you force them to vote. Hey, you don't wanna vote? You wanna say, hey, well then I'm gonna call out that you betrayed people. Oh, you can't say that. Yes, I can, I just said it. And I'm gonna keep on saying it until you either vote or everybody realizes you're a fraud. So, and then when you have the votes, well, I don't want to vote because I'll be on the record. Well, are you a representative or aren't you? Are you, do you believe in democracy or don't you? I'm not interested in you keeping your power for the sake of keeping your power. All I care about is getting the bills passed. We got to get them passed so that we can improve your lives, so that I can improve the lives of the people in the 25th district, right? If you don't fight, you're never gonna win. And so we will make a list. And when they do vote against all of our interests, including getting money out of politics, then we'll go run races against them. And in the beginning, they'll say, haha. Well, actually, that's what they said in the beginning. We're past the beginning. Then the squad won. And if I win, oh my God, a holy terror is going to strike into their hearts. My God, what if you could win uncorrupted? Oh, we're all doomed. I'm gonna say, goddamn right you are. And this is a special election. It happens before November. Then in November, you got another wave of just Democrats. Okay, you got Jessica Cisneros, who's also got a primary on March 3rd. She's amazing. Why would you have Cuellar in Texas, voted with Trump 70% of the time? Why would you have Richard Neal protecting Donald Trump, not going after his tax returns? Go vote for Alex Morse. Why would you have Elliot Engel sitting there voting for war after war? Get Jamal Bowman in there. And then imagine that second wave of Justice Democrats landing, and then we're in the House. And so when the corporate Democrats and Republicans get a call warning them about the danger, they're gonna ask, where's the call coming from? And the answer is gonna be from inside the House. You can make that happen right now. Cenk2020.com. Let's go shock the world and show them something they've never seen before.
All right, well, finally, I wanna end with the company that you founded, the Young Turks. Now that you are running for Congress, I do think it's important to discuss the changes at the company so people are aware of what's going on. And more importantly, something that's important to me is our credibility here at the Young Turks as a media company. And so now that you have officially announced your candidacy for Congress, discuss what type of editorial control you have over this, the programming on this network.
So I want to be clear for everybody, and it's really important. As I'm running, yes, I'm going to keep my day job, but I cannot. When I'm a host on the program, I can't comment on my district or my race. Not only, look, actually, legally you can, but I don't want to.
And I don't want you to either, because I think it's important for us to maintain our credibility and to remain objective when it comes to reporting the facts.
100% right. Okay, we've got to do the right thing. Even if we don't have to, we should do the right thing, and we're going to. So I handed off editorial control of the show to Anna earlier today. She already made a decision that I was like, okay, what are we gonna do, right?
Yes.
Now look, she already was the executive producer of the Young Turks, so in that sense, we were already 90% of the way there. But also Judith, who's a wonderful head of programming for us, now has editorial control over other parts of the network that are not the Young Turks. So that's the right thing to do, that's the fair thing to do. I love this show, and I hope not only that I can host on other topics every day, but from time to time, obviously come on as a guest. And the reason that I would want to do that is because that's what we do on the Young Turks. We show you progressives that'll fight for you. But that's your call to make, that's Judith's call to make. And so I hope you'll have me back on, and I'm not kidding. And so, but by the way, if you want to follow me, not just Cenk2020.com, but I've got my social media. So I tell all the other progressive candidates, I know that back when I did have editorial control of the Young Turks, I would say, please make more videos behind the scenes, etc. Show them what you got. So I'm going to lead by example. So on my Facebook page, that's facebook.com/Cenk Uygur official, okay? And we'll put up all the links on Cenk2020.com, okay? I'm going to make videos from the campaign trail. That's not connected to the Young Turks, that's my personal page, okay? And I'll show you what I'm up to. You'll get to see the rallies, you'll get to see behind the scenes, and you know me, I'm gonna rant, okay? But for now, I'm also still here on the air, but we're not going to talk about my campaign when I am a host.
Correct,
okay?
Right.
And by the way, I just want to give you a quick update before we run out of time. We so far have 1,650 contributions, and we have 240 volunteers, and it hasn't been an hour yet. What now? So guys, tell everybody, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, especially if you got somebody in the 25th district. Tell them there's somebody that's finally gonna represent them. That's what the House of Representatives is supposed to be for. I remember when we did civil disobedience outside of the Capitol, and that was for getting money out of politics. It was Democracy Spring, okay? And one of the chants I started was, whose house? Correct answer, our house. We're gonna make it our house, and we're gonna actually represent you, okay? And if you're in the 25th district, brothers and sisters, I'm here to tell you, I'm gonna fight for you with everything I've got. All the other standard politicians, you know they're not gonna do anything. With me, at least you know what you're getting. I'm gonna go in there swinging. I'm gonna try my hardest to get you higher wages, health care, and we've got to fix this terrible climate change situation that we're in. We cannot have our district on fire. We've got to get gun control. There are so many things to do. And so if you don't try, you'll never get any of that. How about for once we fight and we try? Cenk2020.com.
All right, and I would like to end by saying that TYT as a company does not do a company-wide endorsement. We have a team of reporters who will remain objective. And when it comes to hosts who share opinion, they're free to share their endorsements of various candidates, including candidates like Cenk Uygur. But with that said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Cenk Uygur. Check out his website, Cenk2020.com.